Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm coming to you with a video review of a game that seems like everybody is talking about right now, Pathfinder. Pathfinder is a card game that is, and look at this giant box, and it's giant because, not because you get a bunch of cards, because there's going to be tons of expansions for the game, and so you need a giant box to keep all your expansions inside. But anyway, Pathfinder came out, the adventure card game is being released by Paizo, who of course obviously has the Pathfinder RPG. The Rise of the Rune Lords, as this is called, the Rise of the Rune Lords was the very first adventure path that Paizo put out, and recently they just put together a nice hardcover version of that you can pick up, and if you play the RPG. Actually, it wasn't recently, it's like last year it came out, but regardless, the premise is this is a co-op game. It can be played solo. Each person plays an adventurer. You have a deck of cards, and I'll show you how to play, but and you have a goal that you need to succeed at, and you have a certain amount of time that you can get that goal completed at. You use cards along with some dice to try to for lack of a better term, solve a puzzle, basically, in order to proceed to the next point of the adventure. The whole idea of this is that, and what is unique with this card game, or, I mean, well, it might not be unique, but I don't know of another game like it. You will play the same character for each stage of the game. So when you start off the campaign, you'll take, like, say, the mage character, and you'll play that one, and then after you complete it, then you'll get experience, like in a role-playing game, and then you will take that experience, and then you will be able to make your character that you're using better. And so as the game progresses, your character will unlock different abilities and different things that they can do, and so you will actually see a progression as the game continues. But that's the premise of the game. It is, as I said, it can be played solo. I believe it can handle up to 5 or 6. Let me check here. No, it's 1 through 4. Sorry, I think there are rules to play with more than 4. But a standard game will run you, once everybody knows how to play, a standard game will run you about, I'm guessing, an hour, hour and a half, depending on the scenario and how you're playing. It says right here that it's 90 minutes, but I don't think I've been able to play it less than that. So as I always do, I will show you how to play the game, and then I'll tell you exactly what I think of Pathfinder, the adventure card game from Paizo Games. So alright, here we go. I have set up a solo adventure, I guess, of the very first, the very basic like kind of adventure that you're going on. The goal of this one is that there's a bandit that you are trying to hunt down and bring to justice. And when you set up the game, there's a lot of things that you have to make sure of. Each player will pick a character. I have chosen just the very standard Valeros, the male human fighter, and this card is used to show what location he's at. And there's 3 locations that you use to set up. I'll explain that in just a moment here. But just to show you what the card looks like, you can see Valeros has his little stats over here, and then it shows what die I'll roll. If I'm like using strength, I roll a d10, and then you'll see that melee strength, if I'm in combat, I get to add 3 to my roll. And you can see it goes down, dexterity's a d8, constitution's d8, and so on and so forth. Obviously, the dice are over there. But you'll also notice that these check boxes are here. as you gain levels and abilities, because the idea is that you'll take these characters on multiple adventures and you'll keep playing the same one over and over. You'll put little check marks, theoretically. Obviously you probably won't destroy the cards, you'll just keep note of it on a piece of paper or something. But you will keep track of what happens as you gain. You also notice that down here it has like your hand size. In this case, Valeros has a hand size of 4. What he's proficient with, light and heavy armors, weapons, and other things that he might have. You know, like his little ability here, it says when you play a weapon, you may recharge it instead of discarding it. So this is what you use, obviously, to keep track of what you can and can't do. On the back side of this card, it tells you what your card list is. When you build your character, what you'll do is you'll build a deck. And with Valeros, he gets 5 weapons, 3 armors, 2 items, 2 allies, and 3 blessings, and you can get no spells. I'm not going to show you how to build the deck. I've already built his deck. It's right there. But when you do, you have to make sure that the cards you use, and I'll show you this one, it has to have the word basic on it when you're building your basic deck. So when you look at the items, you got to make sure of that. So, well, that's that. And so you just kind of keep that right there so you have your abilities in front of you. I'm just going to show you this real quick. This is Valeros, like the prestige classes, if you're familiar with those. Valeros the Guardian, and this is more powers and abilities. Eventually maybe you'll graduate to this. And here you have Valeros the Weapon Master once again. You know, perhaps, and you gain different abilities and stuff. But I just wanted to show you those really quick. So you can actually kind of see, you know, if you keep the same character and you gain abilities and so forth, there is like a progression and where you might end up eventually. Alright, so to play the game or to set the game up, you have to figure out which adventure you're on. And like this is the Perils of the Lost Coast. And you can see the first one is Brigand Doom, then the Poison Pill, and then Blackfang's Dungeon. And it says the reward after you defeat this, each character gains a skill feat. So that's, and it has some little, this is like pretty much the only time you have real flavor text, but there's flavor text to tell you the background of that. And then this is Brigand Doom. This is the very first one. And so on the back here, is during the scenario, it has like some things, you know, like you have to, if a monster power causes you to recharge a card, draw a card after doing so. Each card, and then if the reward is each person gets a random item, so you get another card. And you can see there's a little bit of flavor text here telling what's going on. But most importantly, what it is that it says, depending on the number of players, up to 6, you can see here, these are the different locations that you'll have. And so you, with 6 players, you'll have 8 locations. With a solo game, you can see there's just the 3 there. So, and as you can see, the locations are the woods, the waterfront, and the farmhouse. So, what I've done is I've taken the woods, the farmhouse, and the waterfront, and I've placed them out here. I'm just going to show you one of these real quick. The whole goal is that you're trying to search through these decks here, trying to find the villain and defeat him. So, in this case, this is the waterfront, and then it tells you how to build up the decks for the cards. And so you can see there's 4 monsters, 2 barriers, no weapons, spells, armor, an item, and 2 allies. And so, and then there's some special things. When using a weapon, subtract 1 from the die rolled. After your exploration, you may discard 2 cards to explore again. Exploring is pulling a card over. And then when closing, summon and defeat a bandit henchman. You try to close these decks either by going through the entire deck or finding a henchman, in which case bandits are the henchmen of the bandit leader, or finding the bandit leader, and then you can close the area. And it's just like, and you'll notice that when permanently closed, on closing, all characters in this collection discard a card. But if you close it, you just turn it over, and you can see it's not color on that side. And so that means that basically this area can't be encountered anymore. And it's just kind of done. So, and also, once again, some flavor text there. But there you go. You can go ahead and place that there. So, I've made the 3 different decks. And since I'm solo play, The only other thing I haven't shown you is this large deck of cards here, and this is the Blessings deck. There are 30 Blessings in this deck, and well, the cards, sometimes the blessing that you turn over will have an effect sometimes on what happens. Normally what it is, it's just a timer. So each turn I'm flipping one of those cards over, and if I ever run out of these cards and I haven't defeated the villain yet, the villain wins or gets away, and I'd have to retry the adventure. So before I take a turn, I just have to take the top card. In this case, normally this is nothing really happens, Blessing of Torog, but if the top card of the Blessings discard pile matches this card, recharge this card instead of discarding it. And I've said like discard and recharge and stuff, and so give me a few seconds here and I'm going to explain what each one of those means. Like normally this wouldn't affect, but if I had a Blessings of Torog there and another Blessings of Torog came over, I could recharge the card instead of discarding it. Now what recharge means is you take a card and you place it on the bottom of the deck, meaning that basically you get an extra turn in this case. Sometimes when you use your cards that you have in your hand, it'll tell you to recharge the card, in which case you put it at the bottom of your deck. That's really important because you have 15 cards in your deck to start with, and if you ever run out of cards, like you're trying to draw back into your hand, because you have to draw back into your hand at the end of each of your turns, and you can't draw cards, you're dead. That's how you die. When you take damage, you have to discard cards and get rid of them. So recharging is actually like you're able to, put cards back into the spot. If you have to discard a card, it's just like discarding a card. You put it off to the side, like so. If you ever have to display a card, you just put it on the table in front of you. And that's that. If you ever it says reveal a card, you just show that you have the card, reveal it, then put it back in your hand. If you ever have to bury a card, like say this isn't, but when you bury a card, you put it behind your character, like so. Basically, when you bury a card, you pretty much can't use it for the rest of this particular adventure, but you don't lose the card. In which case, if you ever have to banish a card, that's what happens. You have to put the card back into the box, and it's gone. You never get it back. So that's revealing, displaying, discard, recharge, bury, and banish. But anyway, let's draw my first 4 cards as Valeros here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what I got. I got a Blessing. Blessings are like kind of a real, fairly generic thing that if you encounter this card, you automatically require it. I didn't encounter it because I didn't turn it over, but if I discard this card, I get to add a die to a check, which is always nice. Discard this card to explore your location. Normally you get to do only 1 explore, but if you have this, you can discard it and then explore again. You may instead treat this card as if we're identical to the top card of the Blessings discard pile. So if the top discard is something that's really helpful, I can use that as well. It looks like I got an ally. Recharge this card, meaning I don't discard it, I put it underneath. Add 1d10 to your perception check. So if I wanted, or I can discard the card to explore my location. A longsword. Looks like for a combat check, I just reveal the card and roll your strength or melee plus 1d8. So obviously this will be very helpful in combat. Oh, and a chainmail. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt by 2. Banish the card to reduce all damage dealt to you to 0. If you are proficient with heavy armors, bury the card instead. So since I'm proficient in heavy armors, I don't have to banish the card. I can just put it underneath. But I can reduce the combat damage if I get that. So there we go. I got my 4 cards. Valeros will proudly move to the woods. He's going to investigate. I will turn the top card over, and I run into a zombie right away. So here we go. Pretty standard. It's a zombie. It'll give you some abilities here. Zombies immune to the mental and poison traits. Have damage dealt by the zombie. So if the zombie actually does damage to me, I have it. If I'm undefeated, each other character at this location summons and encounters a zombie. So there isn't anybody else, but still, I want to be able to defeat the zombie, right? And so you can see, check to defeat is combat 9. So, as a player, I can reveal my longsword, which is going to add a d8 to my roll. If you remember, Valeros has a d10 for combat, and I get to add 3 for melee, D10 strength. So what I'll get is I'll get a D10 and a D8. I get to add 3 to it. Let's see what I get here. Well, I got a 16 plus 3, 19. I defeated the zombie. So bam, I take care of him. We can just put that over in a discard pile. And I've defeated the woods. I apologize, I should have turned over a blessing as well. So there's my first turn. And right now at this point, if I wanted to, I could, maybe discard either of those items to explore again, but I'm not. I'm just gonna, try my luck, and my next turn, we'll turn over another blessing, and we'll explore again. See what we find here. Ooh, okay, this is a barrier. Collapsed ceiling. It says to check to defeat dexterity, acrobatics, constitution, or fortitude. It's an 8. Difficulty to defeat the barrier is increased by the adventure deck number of the current scenario, if any. No, we aren't. If you fail the check, but defeat or more, your dealt 1 combat damage may not be reduced. If undefeated, you leave the barrier face up in the location. Characters at the location encounter this barrier at the first exploration of each turn and may not move or be moved while this barrier is face up on the location deck. So it basically just holds you there. And I should mention that if you're playing with other players, you can actually, like other people at the spot can also encounter the spot. That's why you keep people together. But when a bad thing happens like this, the person that draws the card has to encounter it. But the other people can choose to encounter it as well. So this one doesn't look too good. I mean, I need an 8 on my Constitution, Fortitude, Acrobatics, or Dexterity. So I have a D8 in Constitution and Dexterity. So I basically have to roll an 8 on this guy. So let's just hope Valeros has some good luck here. I don't know how there's a collapsed ceiling in the woods, but, well, we'll just deal with it. And I rolled a 3. Ooh, that's not good at all. So I didn't get it by 4, meaning that... and I have to take 1 point of damage. Well, when you take a point of damage, what happens is you have to discard one of your cards. So I'm going to take the Night Watch guy, and see, now if I'd been thinking, I could have used my blessing and I could have added a die to the roll, but whatever, I didn't. So I'm going to take the Night Watch guy, I'm going to discard it, and because it's the end of my turn, I have to drop my hand size. So I got a wooden shield, and I'll put that in my hand as well. And so we'll just go ahead and, since apparently it says, if undefeated, I leave the barrier on this location, counter this barrier as their first exploration each turn and may not move or be moved while this barrier is face up. So I'm stuck here, basically. Well, I'm going to use my Blessing of the Gods, obviously, because it's a collapsed ceiling. So we'll see if I get luckier here. Well, eesh. No, I didn't get much luckier. Well, I'm just going to cheat at this point so I can get past it. But, well, okay, so let's say I rolled like a 7 and a 1 or something, and I've defeated that, which I didn't, and I should have turned over a blessing because I'm not paying attention. Oh, look at that! Since it's the same, I get to put that underneath. So that actually was very fortuitous on that side. But so that would be my turn, and we'll turn another one over here. Blessings of Desna. I don't like the woods anymore. I'm going to go here to the farmhouse. So when you move, you can always just move unless there's a barrier obviously holding there or something like that. But I'm going to move, and I apologize, I didn't draw another one. Got a dagger. And we'll turn the first card over here and see what we find. Ah, okay, this is like a boon. It's a potion of healing. Check to acquire is a 5. If you banish the card, you get to look at your discard and add it to your deck, which is nice, obviously. I need a 5 on either intelligence or craft. Well, I have a D6 intelligence, so I gotta hope for a 5 or a 6. Let's see if I can get that. Hey, look at that! Luck's with me here. I get a 5. Well, this is pretty cool, actually, because when you take a card, you don't put it like with a deck builder, put it like in your hand. You actually, or into your deck, you actually get to put it straight into your hand. So I'm going to take that potion of healing. Well, I feel pretty good about myself. So we'll turn another card over here. Oh, look at that. I didn't even stack this. So I get another blessing that matches, so I'll put it underneath. And we'll draw another one. Oh, look at this! I found the bandit. Okay, so now this is pretty interesting actually, because he's got a check to defeat his combat. So before the encounter, I have to recharge 2 cards of my choice from my hand. So, well, I got kind of like lots of weapons. I got 2 weapons, and so I'll put the dagger and the wooden shield. And since I'm recharging them, I place them underneath, like so. And now I have to, his check is a 10. So I need to roll. I'll reveal my longsword, like so. And I get, once again, a D10, a D8, and I get to add 3. So we can hope for some luck here. There we go. 5, 10, 13. So, okay, I defeated him in combat. I should be like, yay, I beat him. But the problem is that there's 2 locations that are open. So he's going to run away and he's going to escape, because I haven't closed either of those. Now, the one nice thing is because I defeated the villain, I get to close the farmhouse. It's done, it's closed, and these cards aren't going to be looked at anymore. And since it's permanently closed, I don't have to do when closing. Permanent closed has no effect, so there's no effect. I'll just turn the farmhouse over like that. Bam, it's closed. We know we don't have to worry about looking at the farmhouse. However, what I have to do is, since I defeated him, if I hadn't defeated him, he would still run away. And I'd have to take a blessing off the top of the deck. But what happens is that I take a random blessing from the... I just grab these. And what I'm going to do is I have to go like this until I'm just trying to think of other things right now, so I don't remember. And you take these and you add them to the decks. And then you have to shuffle these decks again. So I've placed a blessing in one of these, and I've placed the villain in another one. So I tracked him down to the farmhouse. I thrashed him soundly, but unfortunately, he got away. So, but I know he's in one of these 2 locations. I just got to track him down again, right? So what I can do is I can go, fine, let's go to the waterfront. We'll turn over one of these. I'll turn over this, and I get a pit trap. Yay! So I can either use Dexterity Acrobatics or Wisdom Perception. If defeated, you can immediately explore again. If undefeated, everybody takes 1 through 4 damage. So my Wisdom, oh, I wish I had that Night Watch guy, because the Perception, he had really good Perception, but I don't. So my Wisdom is D4. Well, I got no shot of getting a 7 there. So Dexterity is a D8. So once again, I have to get lucky and roll a D8, and hopefully I get an 8. 8! A 7. Dang it. Well, that wasn't good enough. So I'm going to take D4 damage, because I fell in the pit. 2. And I'm really horrible at this. I forgot I had to draw up to 4 here. And blessings of the gods. Should we backtrack a little bit? I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So, I'll say I discarded this card and I used it to roll another die to defeat the pit trap. And so I defeat the pit trap, and we'll go ahead and place that over there. And because I defeated it, I get to draw another card immediately. Ah, here we go. It's a bandit. Alright, so this is a henchman. I have to defeat a combat of 8. Before the counter, recharge a card of my choice from my hand. This is really getting annoying. I don't really want to get rid of my potion of healing, but I want my chainmail and my longsword because they're really good. So I'm going to take my potion of healing. I'm going to place it underneath. I'm going to take my D10 and my D8. And I got a 5, but plus 3, remember, from Valeros's fighting. And I'm going to defeat the bandit. Now, here is the trick. Because of the fact that normally when you defeat the henchman, you can choose to close the area at that point. So what I can hope for is, at this point, I can do whatever the when closing action to try to close the account. But the villain may be in that deck. So here's what you have to do. Since well, at this point, what I have to do is I have to look through this. This is one of the, there's some spells that will allow you to like look through decks, but this is one of the rare occasions that you actually get to look through the deck. What happens is that, well, first I have to try to close it. So to close, I have to summon and defeat a bandit henchman. So basically fight this guy again, and we roll, and I got way more than enough to defeat it with my longsword. And so what I have to do is I have to look through here and see if the villain is in here. So we'll go ahead and look through here. All right, there's no villain in here. So I have closed it. So the waterfront is now closed. I place that like that. And now I know that the villain has to be in that location because the other two are closed. And if I can find him and defeat him before I run out of these cards, then I'll defeat the scenario. And so what happens is that now I draw, I have 2 cards, so I draw 2 more, a Matic and a short sword. I flip one of these guys over to show the passage of time. I go to this location and I turn it over, and I apologize, I'm just going to speed things up here a little bit. Let's see, there's the bandit. Ah, there he is. So I would have to, I can try to find this Luckstone, I'd fight this lizard guy, and then I'd run into him again. And so, you know, I roll the dice, 15, and then I defeat him after I run into him. I'm just speeding things along, I'm not going to show you the whole thing. And therefore, I have brought, whatever, Jubrail Visky to justice. Either I bring him back or I kill him, I guess. And I've defeated the first adventure, if you will. So I hope that gives you a good grasp of how to play the game. Obviously, I kind of cheated a little bit on a couple of things and backtracked and used things. But you can see how the game plays solo. It's a little bit different, obviously, when you're having more people, because you do turn one of these over for each person's action. So there's a lot of different things going on, and so like you'll have less turns, obviously. You know, with a 30-card deck, if you had 6 people, you're only going to have like 5 turns each, maybe a little bit more. But you can see how that takes more time. Obviously, there's more locations and more cards to go through, and plus you can help each other out, because if you're in the same location as people, you can actually trade cards. There's certain like abilities like clerics and things like that that can heal, have abilities and things that they can use to help out other people, and so it does kind of add that like party of adventurers feel to the situation. I mean, because like even Valeros has like you know, add 1d4 to another character's combat check at your location. I mean, so there's like things like that where if there's another person there, like he's helping them fight, if you will. So, you know, it has those things going for it. And, you know, right now there's another character deck out there that adds more wider variety of different characters you can play. But there you go. That's kind of a good feel for how you play the Pathfinder adventure card game. And well, let me tell you how exactly what I think of it. Alright, so Pathfinder, the adventure card game. Let's just backtrack here a little bit, and I will fully admit that I am a role-playing, well, an RPG, or a role-player gamer first and foremost. That was like the very first types of games that I ever got into. Dungeons and Dragons, way back in the day, Gamma World, Star Frontiers, you know, Rifts, things like that, Paranoia, you know, the list goes on and on. But I played RPGs first. And it wasn't until about maybe 5-6 years ago that I really started getting into the board game hobby. I had played board games before, but you know, if you've watched some of my videos, you know I've gone on and on about my background. If not, sorry, if you can find my Arkham Horror review, I kind of go into that a little more in depth. But regardless, this game, and I feel slightly bad in stressing this. I was thoroughly unimpressed with the Pathfinder adventure card game. It has nothing really to do with the mechanics of the game. I think the mechanics are very solid. My problem is that, and I don't think it's this game's problem per se. It's just the whole idea is that I think that people want to like be able to take the role-playing game feel and excitement and enjoyment, and they want it to be ported over to a card game. And so, I mean, this has this weird buzz going on about it, where people are saying, "Oh, it's you know, it's finally I feel like I'm playing a role-playing game, and I'm not playing a role-playing game," you know. And that's BS. I mean, it's quite honestly, I mean, if I had never even heard that prior, it really wouldn't change my opinion of the game. And I feel bad about kind of tearing this apart a little bit, but I'm going to kind of go off on a few things here, and you can take these for what they're worth. For starters, I don't really like the fact that, like, the rules actually state that you're supposed to mark up your own cards. And now I understand there's tons of workarounds. You can just keep track of the information yourself. Oh, I gained a level. Okay, I'll increase that skill this. Or I'll increase that to that. And I think there's some downloads or something that you can go to the Paizo website. You can actually get those. But you know what? I shouldn't have to. You know, I'm spending, you know, $40, $50, $60 on this. And plus I'm going to be like, well, I won't because I'm not going to buy anymore. But theoretically, the people out there are going to be spending $20 every, you know, 30 or 45 days whenever they come out with the next, you know, part of the adventure. And you're expecting people to mark up their cards. I mean, and the thing is that nobody's going to. I mean, yeah, I mean, there might be a few people out there that are going to, like, you know, actually mark up their own cards, like the only cards they have for the game. But it's ridiculous to think that people are actually going to do that. And so for them to actually, like, conceive of the idea that that's what people are doing, they're going to be actually, like, irrevocably changing the components of the game. You know, Risk Legacy did that, but that's an entirely different situation. I mean, but that's just not going to happen. People aren't going to do that. I mean, they should have come up with a different way to handle it, and they shouldn't be expecting the players to you know, come up with their own solvency for it. And I shouldn't have to go to a website and download some junk either to do it. I mean, it just they should have pads of paper or something within the game. That's just how I feel. The cards themselves, the artwork is boring, to say the least. It's I mean, I own Pathfinder games and source books and stuff, and I play in a Pathfinder campaign that's been going on for a long time. The artwork for these people, it's the stock artwork for those iconic characters. I mean, and they just ported it over. I mean, which fine, whatever, but I mean, you know, Marvel Legendary, which is a very fun card game, they actually made it a point to use brand new art for all their cards. And they could have gone out and just found a Spider-Man comic book and just said, oh, that's a good picture of Spider-Man, just put that on the card. But no, they actually said, no, we're going to get brand new art. And we're going to do it so because they just felt like that was important. And the thing is that I feel the same way. I don't really like... I mean, I understand that, like, you have to make, like, you're making that deck of cards that you're going to be shuffling or whatever, and so all the backs have to look the same. I get it. I understand that. But you could have used more distinct colors for each of the items. I just don't understand how, like, I mean, some of them are, it's like, is that light purple? Is that one light blue? I mean, you're like looking at them, you're trying to figure out when you're setting up the game. And setup of the game, in my opinion, takes a little bit of time. And the thing is, they should have kind of, you know, just make the colors very distinct. You know, these are green, these are black, these are red, these are blue. Don't use shades of colors that are almost alike. You know, I don't know. It just, and I realize that there's been many times when I've said in my reviews where I've said the components shouldn't matter. If the game is fun, I can play with stick figures and pennies. You know, the fun of the game will shine through regardless. But the problem is that if I'm actually going to talk about, the fact that I don't want to have to write on my own cards, and I don't want to have to fumble to figure out which card is which. The game itself just really isn't that much fun. There's a couple of interesting decisions that you have to make. I mean, you do have to set up your pick your starting equipment when you first start out, and then try to figure out exactly what you think is going to be useful and what have you. But the decision making as far as what your character does is non-existent. You get your deck of cards or your little hand of cards that'll maybe have some spells in it, or a weapon, or a healing potion or whatever. But I mean, there's never really any tough decision about what you're going to have to do. You move to a spot, you flip over the card, and you do what it tells you. And it's oh, it's a monster. Now I have to fight it. Oh, well, I stink at combat because I'm a mage, so I better use my magic missile spell. It's just, it isn't difficult to figure out what you want to do. And the thing is that this isn't a game where it's intriguing in any way. It's just flip over a card, do what it tells you. Hey, it's your turn now. Flip over a card, do what it tells you. Oh, okay. Did we find the bad guy yet? No. Flip over a card. I mean, I don't know. And plus, for a co-op, it's pretty dang easy. And I've played through it, and it just seems like it's not very difficult at all. I've said, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times about co-ops. If I play a normal game where it isn't a co-op and I'm playing a 4-player game, I should only win 1 out of 4 times if everybody is of equal ability. When I'm playing a cooperative game, I should lose 3 out of 4 times. I mean, that's just my feeling about co-op games. I want co-op games to be difficult, and this isn't difficult. I don't know. It doesn't inspire me at all to believe that this is an adventure that I'm going on, because of for lack of immersion, for starters. I mean, it's just, I don't feel like I have an adventurer moving around to different spots. I just feel like I'm just flipping over a card and hoping to it gives me something that I can defeat. And the thing is that there's absolutely no reason not to use your resources to defeat the card that you're facing. I mean, if you're facing a monster that has a difficulty level of 10, and I'm the bard, and my melee or whatever is a 1d6, well, I can't win. And the negative for losing, discarding a bunch of my cards, is so bad that I'm going to use the spell that I have, or I'm going to use one of the cards. I'm going to discard a card that's going to get an extra die. I mean, there's just no reason not to. So, it isn't really. There's no oh gosh, do I use that card or do I save it? Yes, you use it, because you've got 6 cards in your hand or 5 cards in your hand, and if you roll a 2, you're going to have to get rid of all of them anyway. So there's absolutely no reason for you not to use that spell, because you want to be able to defeat what you're fighting. I don't know. I can see where if there's absolutely no shot for you and your group to ever be able to put together the time and the effort to put together a role-playing game session, why this game would appeal to you. Because it does try to feel like you're doing an adventure, because there's a backstory and there's an idea of what's going on. But I never feel like I'm being told a story while I play this. I mean, it's just turn a card over. Oh, it's a bunyip. For some reason it's in the academy. Whatever. Just kill it. Let's get done with it. It's a cave-in, but I'm on a rope bridge. How is that even? You know what? Just screw it. Just move on, carry on. Let's just roll the die, get past it, and let's just defeat it. I don't know. Maybe because of the fact that I'm such a fan of role-playing games, that this game disappointed me to the level that it did. But the thing is that if you're somebody who's like used to be an RPGer, or you wanted to be an RPGer, and you haven't been able to put together the time or whatever because you just don't have the people, or you don't whatever, then you know, I can see why you'd want to pick this up, and you probably would enjoy it at some level. But in my opinion, Descent 2nd edition does a much better job of making you feel like you're playing and like an actual RPG. But you know, it doesn't come close. I mean, honestly, because an RPG is free form and open, and you can do whatever you want. You know, I mean, and the Dungeon Master weaves this story and tells it to you, and breathes life into like all the people you run into at the inn, or the orcs that you run into in the cave. You know, they if they're a good Dungeon Master, they act out what they're doing, and like you have interactions and things like that, and you're breathing life and feeling into what you're doing. And in this is just turning a card over. You know, honestly, a buddy of mine in my game group said, this feels like I'm playing cooperative Talisman, where I don't have to roll for moving, because all I'm doing is going to a spot and turning a card over, and I'm seeing what happened. You know, and he said at least in Talisman, it's actually like kind of funny, and it's you know, more interesting than this, and that's Talisman. I mean, and which a game I love, but you know, it's not exactly you know, highbrow entertainment, if you will, when it comes to the board game world. I guess, you know, I found like I said, the mechanics are extremely sound. There's nothing wrong with the game as far as how the rules work and how it's played. It just totally missed for me on almost every level. I found it to be devastatingly mediocre and thoroughly uninteresting when I played it, and I felt bad because I had a lot of high hopes for the game. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Pathfinder. I'm a huge fan of Paizo and what they've made, but I really can't recommend this one. I mean, like I said, the only people that I could see that would really like this are somebody who wants to play a game that's solo, because then, you know, this is a very, very good solo game to play. And if you want to actually, like, if you're really interested in like the idea of actually like leveling up your character that you're playing, and like seeing that person evolve in some way, then I can see where you'd be interested. But other than that, I don't know. I guess, honestly, if you're looking for a role-playing game to play, then pick up a role-playing game, honestly. I mean, you can buy the Pathfinder core book, you know, for, you know, $40 or $30 online, and all you need is an afternoon and a couple of buddies, and you can there's tons of store-bought adventures that you can get, and you can just play one of those, and it's 1,000 times more fun than this sucker is. So there you have it. You know, and the other thing, before I go, the other thing I'm going to say is that I understand the whole idea of like they're going to be having an expansion, you know, and coming out, and I understand why, because they're going to tell that story. I mean, and since I've read all the Rise of the Runelords, I know that the story is amazing, and it's very interesting, and that campaign is great, and I plan on playing it at some point with a real RPG. But you know, there's no replayability, none. I mean, I can't possibly fathom myself wanting to play this and like play it like all the way through, or like play through to like, you know, get done with so much of the adventure, and then saying, you know what, let's go back and do it all over again, and this time I'll take the sorcerer. Now, I just don't see that happening. I mean, once you've defeated it, once you've gone on, so, you know, one of the things is that this, since they're trying to script out a story, they're smashing apart any idea of it being like something that you can play multiple times. Once you've done the adventure, you've done the adventure, and you're just gonna sit around and wait for the next expansion pack to come out. And maybe that's the whole point, because maybe it's something where to keep you coming back for more, and keep you buying those expansions as they come out. So I don't know. That's I always feel bad about doing a negative review, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are really, really digging the game right now. But I had a dissenting opinion, and I guess I felt like I needed to explore it, and I needed to get it off my chest. So there you go. For those of you who love the game, God bless you. I'm happy for you. And I always have said, I feel really bad when I don't enjoy a game, because, especially when there's a lot of people that do, because why wouldn't I want to enjoy the game? I spent my money on this. I want to really, really love this game, but I just don't, and that stinks, because the people that out there that are just totally digging on the game, they've got one over on me, and I don't like that. I wish I'd loved it. I wish I did. But this one's going on the trade pile pretty soon, and hopefully I'll get something for it that I'll enjoy more. So there you go. Pathfinder, the adventure card game. Check it out. Don't just take my word for it. There's tons of other reviews, tons of other thoughts and feelings about it, and I invite you to go check those out as well. And hey, and maybe after all was said and done, what I've said, it's intrigued you enough to the point where you think this is something you want to pick up and play. So you can find it. It's out. It's about. You can find it pretty much anywhere right now. So there you go. Well, as always, I appreciate very much you taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, this was Undead Viking, and you have an awesome day. Bye-bye.